And time now for Hot Picks. Wynn is a leading developer of luxury casino resorts, and it's my next guest's top stock pick. Joining me is James Hardiman, Senior Vice President and Leisure Analyst at Citi. James, thanks as always for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I'm going to get the joke out of the way. You're willing to gamble on Wynn? I'm done.
Absolutely.
I'll show myself out.
No, well done, well done. Yes. So, I mean, the real thought behind Wynn is that they are, a premium operator of premium properties that target premium customers. And so much of what can explain what we've seen in our sort of consumer discretionary coverage in recent years has been the idea of this K-shaped economy, right? Mm-hmm. And I get the question from investors all the time: what are the best equipped companies to navigate such a divergence between the high end and the low end? And I think Wynn is at the forefront of their ability to do that. As we think about the Las Vegas Strip, right, which is where they have one of their main properties, it was a rough summer on the Strip, but it was primarily those sort of middle income, value oriented properties that really struggled over the summer, whereas Wynn's properties did quite well. And so they've got exposure to a recovering Vegas, but they're also in pretty good shape as we sit here today. And then as I think about their Macau business, Macau, China, where they have a couple of properties, that's actually a market that's outperformed expectations this year. And there's some real opportunities for Wynn to gain share there in the months to come. And then I guess last, yeah. Please.
No, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll jump in after.
The last point I was going to make, there's some idiosyncratic. So as you'll see with all these top picks, like these are companies that have exposures to trends that we think are favorable, or a lack of exposure to trends that we see are being unfavorable. But then in addition to that, there are some idiosyncratic factors, right? Company-specific factors. And for Wynn, that's the fact that they're going to be opening the first casino in the Middle East, right? They're going to be opening what's called Wynn Al Marjan in the UAE in 2027, and that's a big opportunity for them.
I was just looking with the China, you mentioned Macau, and they even have a wine award. Like, so they're looking at different opportunities, right?
That's right. That's right. As you think about that premium customer and what they care about and what's going to move the needle for them, I think for decades, Wynn has had their hand on the pulse of that customer, and that is really paying dividends in the current environment.
Now, any concerns about it being hit by any potential downturn with the markets?
Yeah, look, I mean, they are at the end of the day a consumer company, and so if we see sort of broader recession, I think everything that I cover, which again is consumer discretionary, in a lot of cases, big ticket consumer discretionary, is going to get hit. But as you think about sort of what my job is, and a lot of my counterparts' jobs are, is it's picking relative winners and losers. Okay. And so as we think about their particular exposures, right, the customers that they're targeting in, that's a customer that's going to outperform.
All right, I want to get the other two in that you want to talk about. Carnival as well. It looks like the cruise lines are back.
Yeah, I've been back and better than ever. And who would have guessed that a handful of years ago when we were coming out of COVID, and it felt like COVID was the really existential threat to the cruise industry, because so many people Absolutely. That I talked to, they were already, I think, weary of going on a cruise. You're hearing, I would never go on one of those things. And it is cruise consideration today is actually 50% higher than it was in 2019. Take a moment to take that in.
Yeah.
You were looking at 6 in 10 Americans that would consider taking a cruise in 2019, and that's more like 9 in 10 today. Now, the actual penetration is way less than that, and therein lies the opportunity, right? That people are considering it, getting them across the finish line is certainly a big opportunity. And Carnival, again, they've got exposure to a cruise industry that we think has a lot of secular tailwinds. But then in addition to that, they've got some company-specific initiatives. Most notably, they just opened their own private island destination called Celebration Key. 2026 will be a year, and the first full year that they're going to have that island open, which brings with it a whole lot of benefits as you think about consumers' interest in going on their particular cruises and going to their particular destinations. So really compelling story there as well.
So I'm curious that from 6 and 10 to 9 and 10, is it that saying there's no such thing as bad publicity? The pandemic scared everybody about it, but it also raised awareness of it.
No, I mean, I think that was definitely bad. The concern that you were going to get stuck on a cruise ship and or catch some communicable disease. I would make that small exception for that press being bad press. No, I think the cruise industry has gotten better in terms of the product that it delivers. Part of that is these incremental offerings, these land-based islands, most notably Royal Caribbean opened what's called Perfect Day at Coco Cay, which has been an absolute home run. All of these things have happened at a time when I think traditional vacations, land-based vacations, have arguably gotten worse, right? They're more expensive, right? Hotels are more expensive, and in a lot of cases, service levels have gone down because as these hotels have had to deal with higher labor costs, they've cut back on staff and service.
I'm going to jump in because I just want to get in the last one, BRP.
Yeah,
sorry, we've been talking a little too much. My apologies. Canadian manufacturer, snowmobiles, off-road vehicles, boats, one of my faves. What do you like about it?
Yeah. Great company, great management team. Although the longtime CEO is stepping down, and they're in the midst of a CEO search. It's a segment that seems like it's gaining steam really over the summer, right? Off-road vehicles. But then it's a company that we think if there's going to be a share gainer in this space over time, it's going to be them, right? Great sort of engineering-based company that makes great products and we think will ultimately be a share winner.
All right, we're going to have to end there. But James, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
James Hardiman, you too. Have a great weekend. Is Senior Vice President and Leisure Analyst at Citi.